I bought this 2002 Volvo XC70 at WeBuyCars on an online auction, relying on their Inspectify report. Some of the things were spot on, but some important things were completely missed. Don't even know how it was possible to run, let alone start. And now I must just make sure that the crankshaft is lined up at the bottom. In this video, I want to chat about why you should not rely on the WeBuyCars Inspectify report alone when buying a car, especially if it's sight unseen. Now, WeBuyCars recently moved away from the old Dekra reports to their own in-house Inspectify reports. The Dekra reports had their own issues, but I actually preferred them over the Inspectify reports. The Inspectify reports are supposed to be more user-friendly, give you better information, but to me it sounds more like AI fluff, and it's a lot more ambiguous or unclear, and I'll show you a few examples. At least with the Dekra reports, it was pretty straightforward and it was independent, a separate company doing it. Now, I made a separate video on issues with Dekra reports in the past, so go check that out after this video. But in this video, we're going to have a closer look at the Inspectify report for this Volvo specifically. What are the things were accurate and what are the major things were missed in that report? Now, I'm not bad-mouthing WeBuyCars per se. I'm just giving a warning that you shouldn't rely on the reports only. You have to go and do your proper inspection before you buy, especially if it's an auction. So this is what the report looks like. And the first thing that they say give you is an overall summary. And now this one, they said the engine, transmission and suspension systems perform well, ensuring smooth and reliable operation, which is true mostly. But then they also say there, additionally, the front right shock absorber has a defect and minor slip defects are present. So they first say in addition, the suspension system perform well, but then they also say there's a problem with the shock. If you look at the roadworthy relevant issues, they say the right front shock absorber has a defect, but they don't mention it under the roadworthy compliance issues. So now the question is the shock a problem or is it not? If you go down further, they do a shock test where they say the right front shock absorber is defective and should be checked and repaired to ensure optimal handling and safety. So why it was left out under the roadworthy relevant issues, I don't know. But they do say the right force is close to 0, whereas the others are fine. Now, I do know on this car, there is a problem with the right front shock. I can feel it going over bumps. I can also hear it squeak. So I am going to replace it with a second-hand part that I got from Henk at Swedotech, which he kindly sent me for free. So if you need any help with your Volvo, go check out Swedotech services in Bloemfontein. So the issue with that shock is that it's just very unclear from the report alone whether it is a problem or whether it's not, because it's not listed down here. Then another quick issue, they said here bonnet hinges and shocks. Bonnet hinges and shocks function as expected for the vehicle's age, no immediate concern. So why then do you need this bonnet stay, which is not this car's bonnet stay, to keep the bonnet upright? The reason for that is because these bonnet shocks are completely shot. Now that in itself is not a major issue. I'm sure I'll be able to sort that out quickly, but also this thing works fine. Back to the oil leaks. Now I've already cleaned it up properly. There's a video where I took out the intake and tore out this whole front bit to sort out an oil leak. The PCV system was a problem. Now that's not something that they would mention on the Dekra report because it's a specialized thing on these Volvo specifically. And that was what caused all the major oil leaks. Now how you test for that is you take the engine oil cap or the filler cap off, put a glove on there, a rubber glove, and then if it blows up, there's positive pressure in the crankcase, which causes all the seals to start leaking. Now I sorted that out. You can go check out the video. It was quite a big job, and that is something that could turn into a serious problem later on. So you can't blame the Inspectify inspectors for not picking that up, because they did mention there was an oil leak. They just didn't look at the cause of the leak, and they don't pretend to. So it is something that you need to be aware of, and it's one of the limitations of these types of reports. Another thing, they said the engine idle is fine. Let's have a look. Engine idle is consistent for the vehicle's age and mileage, no unusual sounds. And then engine runs smoothly, quietly with no abnormal or excessive noise. Valve train operates quietly and smoothly with no signs of wear. Now all of that is true, but when I replaced the timing belt as preventative maintenance because I didn't know the age of the belt, I did realize or notice that the timing was one tooth out. And how I figured that out was by using the cam locking tool that you need for these Volvos because of the VVT system. Now, I made a video on that too and how I fixed it, but that is also something that you would not have known by just driving the car because it drove fine. And I'm sure the previous owner didn't even know that, and they drove the car for lots of kilometers like that. Another issue that I picked up during that job was that the cam sensor housing only had one bolt in there, the housing was broken, and the aperture ring underneath that sends the signal to the sensor was completely hacked up and welded, and that caused the engine to struggle to start and crank for a long time. Now I replaced that with a second-hand one from Swedotech Services, so thanks again Henk, and now it starts easily and it runs smooth. Now all of those issues could cause problems later on and make the car just not drive properly, but you won't necessarily pick that up in a test drive and definitely not on the Inspectify report. Another thing that I noticed was that there's a piece of engine mounting missing here. Now I also received a second-hand part for that, so we'll fit that soon. But again, not a major issue, but it is something that needs fixing, and all of these things could rack up if you don't do it yourself and get second-hand parts. So what about things that were accurate? The oil leak was definitely accurate. They did say about that front shock. They mentioned exterior body panels below average, and I think that mostly refers to some visible hail damage here, but it's so slight that I would actually not even, I wouldn't have noticed that either way. And then they also said on the interior, the aircon does not work. That is true. I've regassed it and now it does work. One other issue was that they said the audio and navigation systems are fully functional, and that is not entirely true. The volume knobs, if you turn it to the left, it goes harder and then sometimes softer, and then the selection button for CD versus tape versus FM jumps around. So I think it's just a clean out and then it'll work, but not entirely accurate. And then at the bottom, some of these reports don't show these diagnostics reports anymore, which is a problem. On this one they did, and the one issue was that O2 sensor that's still there and causes a check engine light. I think I know what it is. I'll sort that out. There was a turbocharger control system flow too low and air leak. I sorted that out. That was just a hole in one of the intake boots. Quick and easy, so at least that was accurate. One thing they did not mention was that coolant low stop engine warning that you kept seeing on all my videos, and that was just sensor that's not working anymore, so I replaced it with a new bottle of Amazon with its sensor, and now that works fine. So they didn't mention it in the report, but it was clear from the photos, and that is where these reports I feel is the most useful. It's to get a closer look at some of the photos when you decide whether it's worth it to drive through and go and inspect the car, but nothing beats the actual physical inspection. And for that reason I created a simple PDF checklist that you can go and download for free. Go check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below to get your free checklist, everything that you need to inspect, or the stuff that I inspect before I buy a car, especially at some place like WeBuyCars or Marketplace. So would I say that the WeBuyCars Inspectify report is accurate? To some extent, yes, but I find it very vague and it feels more like they're covering themselves than actually giving proper information. I do rely on it to screen vehicles, and you can zoom into some of the photos, take a closer look and make a list of stuff that you need to inspect when you get there, but nothing beats the physical inspection. Do not buy a car sight unseen like I did on an auction. It's very risky. The only reason why I did do it on this Volvo is it was super cheap. It was 29,000 Rand for this car, and I mainly did it to learn from working on this car and sharing the experience here on YouTube. So if you want a reliable daily driver, that is not the way to buy a car. You can screen it by all means with reports and make a short list of cars, then drive through, go and inspect it using my PDF checklist, take it for a proper drive. And if you are still doubtful, take someone that knows cars with, or your mechanic, they do allow it, and only then pay and buy the car. If you have any questions on the buying process at WeBuyCars, whether it's online auction or paying a reserve deposit and going and inspect the car first, pop it in the comments. I'll gladly answer you. I've done it 6 times before without any issues. So that's my views on the Inspectify report. Please let me know, do you miss the old Dekra reports? Do you think the Inspectify reports are better? Do you have any experience with it? Share it in the comments so everyone can learn from it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.